Morning, we'll get this thing taken apart. We'll kind of do a step-by-step as we go. That way you can see how it comes apart, how it goes together. With that being said, I'll catch you guys tomorrow. So unfortunately, I went to go upload the footage that I had taken when I did the complete install, and I realized that, first of all, the battery died on my camera, and I completely didn't even follow up with it. The whole install took me about 7 hours, so that's to be expected that the camera died. And the footage that it did get, when I tried to transfer it over to my computer, for whatever reason, I ended up getting this big error code and I was unable to use any of the footage that I took. So I'm gonna do you guys one step better. And one of the things that I used was, Banks doesn't give you basically an owner's manual or an installation guide or anything like that. They give you a QR code, which then goes to their website, which then you can pull it up on their website and take a look at it. The problem is if you understand, when you look at something online, if you try to leave your phone just sitting there, if you don't have your phone set to turn the screen off, the screen ends up coming off, then you gotta unlock your phone, relook at it. But because you're watching a YouTube video right now, that regardless if you're watching a video, the phone's gonna stay on the entire time, or the tablet will stay on the entire time. So what I ended up doing for myself was, there's 131 steps to do the entire install of the Banks Monster Ram. And what I did is I actually screenshotted all 131 steps so that I had photos of each one of the steps. And what I'm gonna do here for you guys is I'm actually gonna make a install video so that way you can actually follow along and see what those photos are, and I'm gonna basically do a voiceover of exactly what each one of those steps is. That way you can follow along and you can stop it, pause it, do the step, move on to the next one. So in hindsight, I guess losing the footage wasn't terrible, because I think this will actually be a nice clean way for you guys to be able to do this install. So without further ado, let's hop right into it. So first we're gonna disconnect both negative terminals and wrap them with a rag so they don't touch anything. Then using an 8mm socket, you're going to remove the 4 bolts that hold down the engine cover. Next, pull out the dipstick, take the cover off, and then you can put the dipstick back in place. You're going to remove the cable tie downs with a panel popper or a small screwdriver from the 2 bolts that have studs on the left rear of the valve cover. Next, remove the 8 bolts that are holding down the valve cover, and remove the oil fill cap. Put a rag over the oil fill so nothing falls in. Then remove the 2 bolts that are holding the crossover tube bracket. You can disregard this bracket because it won't be used again. Remove the rag, and then you can put the cover down and then reinstall the oil cap. Next, remove the bolt under the center of the crossover tube. You're going to have to push down slightly on the radiator hose to get a straight shot at it. Then you can remove and toss out this clamp. Then you can reinstall the 8 engine cover bolts, making sure that the 2 studs are on the rear passenger side. Next, unlock the temperature sensor plug from the EGR crossover tube. Be sure to push in the slide lock to release it. And then you can remove the temp sensor. Now, some of the older vehicles have a rear-mounted thermocoupler with a black plug. If the plug is black, what you're going to do is you're going to grind off the right side of both connectors as you look at it. The truck plug and the Banks extension harness both are going to need to be ground down. Next, remove the EGR valve plug, press the locking tab, press the plug forward to relieve some of the tension, then you can pull it back to remove it. Remove the EGR harness cable tie with a pop tool, then loosen the EGR clamp on the driver's side and flip it upside down for easy access later. Then you're going to loosen the EGR clamp on the passenger side, but do not remove this clamp yet because a gasket will slip out and fall if you do. Now you can go back and release the driver's side EGR clamp, but keep your hand under the clamp just in case the gasket comes loose. Remove the gasket and set aside because you will be using this later. Now we can release the passenger side EGR clamp, but apply pressure to keep the gasket in place and keep your hand under the clamp to prevent the flat gasket from falling into the engine compartment. Ask me how I know. Now you can remove the 2 bolts that are holding the throttle heat shield, and then cut the zip ties on the dipstick tube to free up the thick 12-volt wire that goes to your grid heater. Remove the harness clamp from that wire, then remove the heater wire from the terminal itself. Next, you're going to remove the dipstick tube bracket and then bend the tube up slightly. Now with an 11 millimeter, loosen the boost tube clamp. It doesn't need to be completely removed, just loosened. Now pry the boost tube hose off the throttle body. You can use a pick or a small screwdriver to loosen around the tube. Remove the cable tie at the back of the elbow and unplug the map sensor. Now you can remove the front PCV hose. Using a small screwdriver, you can lightly pry off against the engine cover. Now remove the 6 bolts on the factory intake elbow, and then lean the elbow towards the front of the truck and dislodge the boost tube. And then with it leaning towards you, remove the throttle control plug, slide the locking tab over, and then you can press the button. Place a rag and clamp over the boost tube to prevent anything from getting in the tube. Locate the first passenger side plug, slide the pink locking tab over, then you can pull to release. Then locate the second passenger side plug, slide the lock in, then you can depress the button to release. Then lastly, locate the third passenger side plug, slide the lock and disconnect it. Now locate the flat blue front driver's side fuel rail plug. You can press in the clip and then pull up. Now you're going to disconnect the large driver's side engine harness that's on the firewall. Depress the clip and then rotate the white lock all the way. Next, you'll just release the cable tie that holds it to the firewall. Remove the rear driver's side plug that's located above the rear blue fuel rail plug. And now you can remove the rear blue fuel rail plug. Once that's out of the way, you can remove the rear PCV hose and then remove the rubber isolator that's around the fuel rail. Pop off the cable ties from the studs and then remove the dipstick tube stud. If it's easy, just bungee cord the dipstick tube out of the way. Now you can remove the manifold temp sensor plug and then place a rag over the intake hole. Remove the fuel lines and install the red dust covers into all the fuel ports as you remove them. All you're going to do here is just loosen the number 6 fuel line and then you can rotate it out of the way. Loosen the high pressure fuel line, both the upper and lower line, then swivel it back towards the driver's front. Now remove the banjo bolt, but do not lose the washer that's between the rail and the bolt. Remove the remaining fuel rail bolts, and be sure to put a rag at the rear of the fuel rail to catch any fuel that's still in the rails. Then bungee the fuel rail up out of the way. Now you can remove the factory grid heater, clean the manifold surface, and vacuum out any debris that falls into the manifold. Spray adhesive to the gasket, the one with the Banks logo showing. This isn't necessary, but it just keeps the gasket aligned during assembly. Now align the gasket and stick it onto the new delete plate. Attach it to the flat side of the plate. Next, you're going to want to transfer the temp sensor to the Banks plate. You can clean the sensor with Scotch-Brite and don't over tighten it. When it bottoms out, stop so you don't strip the threads. Now you can remove the EGR valve from the old intake horn and remove the throttle body from the intake as well. It will be stuck on the gasket, so just use a rubber mallet to tap it free from the elbow. Remove and transfer the map sensor and remove and transfer the elbow stud. Now clean the EGR gasket surface and the throttle body gasket surface. Use the new EGR gaskets on the Monster Ram, and then attach the EGR with thread locker and torque to 18 foot-pounds. Align the throttle body gasket, and then you can attach the throttle body to the Monster Ram. Be sure to plug all the ports on the Monster Ram unless you're using any of them for sensors or gauges. Make sure your map sensor is installed correctly. Now spray the small gasket with the spray adhesive. Next, you're going to place the washers on the hex cap screws and apply blue thread locker as you install them. Use one of the stock bolts to hold the billet plate in place. Put the fuel rail standoffs in place, but if your kit includes the cast aluminum plate, part number 42731, those standoffs won't be included. Now you can release the bungee cord and place the fuel rail and the studs back in place. Install the banjo bolt and the washer. Then you can tighten the fuel rail, torque to 18 foot-pounds, and just check to make sure that the injector transfer tube that the fuel lines thread into didn't move. Double check that they're all at 41 foot-pounds. Then tighten all of the fuel lines to 30 foot-pounds. Tighten both the fuel supply line banjo bolt and the fuel feed line to 18 foot-pounds. Now connect the temp sensor extension harness and lock the plug once it's connected. Now remove the middle right stud on the fuel rail for the dipstick tube. Slide the dipstick bracket over and then reinstall the stud. Now reinstall the engine harness cable ties back onto the studs. You can now put the rubber isolator back into place. Now run the rear PCV hose under the dipstick tube and connect the rear PCV hose back to the valve cover. You can now connect the rear blue injector plug and then connect the rear white plug above that one. Now route the engine harness under the dipstick and around the valve cover, and then you can plug in the 3 remaining plugs on the passenger side. Now reinstall the cable ties back onto the studs on the passenger side engine cover and reconnect the large engine harness. Don't connect the front blue injector plug yet. Now you can remove the rag from the boost tube and put the clamp back on. And now you can slide the monster ram into that boost tube. Start by putting the long bolt into the front corner of the monster ram by hand, then install the other long bolt in the back, followed by the 2 smaller bolts. Use a telescoping magnet to start the bolt in the middle of the monster ram. You can access it through the top coil heater hole. Make sure to use thread locker here. Then you can use the hex key extension that Banks provides to tighten the bolts. You're going to want to tighten all 6 bolts to 18 to 20 foot-pounds. Next, slide the copper washer onto the heater coil and apply a little bit of anti-seize to the heater coil thread. Tighten the coil heater by hand. Make sure not to remove that lower nut. That needs to stay about 1/8 of an inch above the coil heater body. Now you can install the dipstick tube bracket and now plug in the forward injector harness. Now connect the front PCV hose to the valve cover. This is going to be very tight, but it will fit. Now plug in the map sensor on the rear of the monster ram. Plug in the throttle plug and tighten the boost tube clamp. Now you can remove and discard the 12-volt heater cable P-clamp that's at the front of the truck. Now you can install the 12-volt heater wire to the coil heater, route the cable around the dipstick bracket along the cover, and then bend back to the stud. The wire should be facing towards the rear of the truck, and the wire should be sandwiched between both nuts and the included lock washer. Tighten the heater nut using 2 wrenches so that the stud does not spin. Now install the flat washer on the passenger side of the EGR tube and put the clamp over the union and hand tighten. Now you can install the conical gasket on the driver's side of the EGR tube and tighten the driver's side clamp. Then you can fully tighten the passenger side clamp. Now go back and loosen the front bolts on the EGR valve and install the EGR heat shield and tighten the bolts. Place the rear heat shield spacer and screw using thread locker on the screw. Use the small aluminum spacer, then tighten the Torx head screw. Now reinstall the throttle heat shield bolt and nuts. Reconnect the EGR temp sensor located on the EGR tube. Then connect the EGR extensions and harness. You can now reconnect the batteries. Now with it completely assembled, this is what it should look like. Now understand the first start might take 30 seconds to a minute before it fires up. You're going to want to turn the key on and off several times to cycle the fuel pump, then try cranking it. Don't crank it for too long though, but just keep trying again because the lines need to repressurize. Once it starts, let it run for a little bit, shut it off, check for leaks, make sure that all the wires and the harnesses are free from moving parts, and then you should be good to go. And that about wraps it up. Hopefully that was helpful. One of the things you're going to want to do is probably drive it for a little while, maybe put a couple 100 miles on it, double check your bolts on your intake, make sure they're still torqued to spec, and then just double check your clamps for your boost tubes. Make sure you don't have any boost leaks or anything like that. But hopefully that was helpful and gives you an opportunity to be able to get it installed. And if you liked it, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And I appreciate everybody following along. And till next time.